Where is episode 3? As we know, episode 2 was released about a month and a half ago, which wasn't too long ago. However, if we look at Murder Drones, a glitch show that's been ongoing for some time now, they had episodes releasing every 2 to 3 months. Since episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus took half the time than Murder Drones episode 2 did, then I was guessing that we'd get the episodes much faster for the Amazing Digital Circus, meaning that the next episode could release in July or maybe in the beginning of August. But if this is the case, then why are we not getting any news right now? It could make sense that Glitch would want to release Murder Drones episode 8 before episode 3 of the Amazing Digital Circus, because episode 7 of Murder Drones was released about 3 months ago. So I'm assuming that they would release their episode near the end of June. But it's also strange that we're not getting any information about Murder Drones, so maybe there's going to be a delay. I think it is possible, because if they would want to release Murder Drones in June, then they probably would have put a trailer for the 8th episode last Friday. We also know that Glitch always posts their trailers and new episodes on Fridays, and the trailer is usually 2 weeks before the episode. So maybe it's possible that Murder Drones will release in the beginning of July, and then that means that they'll release a trailer for it this Friday, or maybe even the next if they go even later. This would mean that the next month or month and a half could be about Murder Drones, meaning that they'll probably not post that much about the Amazing Digital Circus. But don't worry too much, because they're still working on the show. As we saw in the trailer for the season, they are animating the characters in locations way before the release. And since Glitch probably has a bigger animation team now, they're probably working like crazy just so that they can release the next episode sooner, like they did with episode 2 being twice as fast as Murder Drones episode 2. Gooseworks also confirmed that the scripts are fixed for episode 3 and 4, so there will be no modifications about either how the story goes or how the characters will be from now on. Gooseworks is the one who composes the music for the show, and she creates the soundtracks episode by episode, sometimes with help. So this is an extra thing that we'd have to wait for. However, I really hope that Gooseworks will share some information on her Tumblr page, where she used to answer many fan questions before episode 2 came out. But nowadays, it seems like she doesn't really check her Tumblr, or maybe she does, she just doesn't post on it too much. But realistically, I'm thinking that episode 3 will probably release in August, which probably means we'll have to wait another month for the trailer for the episode to come out. And it really depends on when they're going to post some news about Murder Drones, because if we'll already know when to expect episode 8, then we can also look at the episode 3 of the Amazing Digital Circus and see when that's going to come out, because I'm assuming they're not going to talk about the Amazing Digital Circus until episode 8 releases, and then they'll even wait a little bit longer to talk about episode 3. But to be honest, they've been doing a pretty good job at not getting any information leaked. We don't really have any information about the episode besides the fact that it's going to focus on King R and Zubble. And I'm assuming that that information isn't really too important because we also know that Jax is going to be the focus of episode 6, and that is so far down the line that it probably doesn't matter too much. But the interesting thing is that King R and Zubble don't really have much in common, so I'm not sure why they decided to make both of them the focus in one episode, since the last 3 episodes don't have characters that are revealed to us, which means they could be new characters, or maybe they'll focus on everyone as a whole. We don't know yet. So maybe this means that one of them could abstract after their episode, because that way we still get to know them a little bit more, but we won't get too attached to them. Or maybe it's because they decided to include 2 polar opposite characters in one episode just for the comedy purposes. Because you can imagine that these two, Zubble and King R, getting separated from everyone else and trying to solve the adventure together. And knowing that Zubble doesn't like going on adventures and King R seems to forget everything after 3 seconds, that could result in some interesting situations. Or maybe the reason why they decided to focus on the relationship between Zubble and Kinger is because we'll see some of the NPCs coming back for the later episodes. It could be possible that we'll get to see more of Gummigoo in the second part of the season, because in episode 2, it could be foreshadowing with Rotha's emphasis to Pally that Kane likes to reuse NPCs. Gooseworks also really liked Gummigoo's character, so I'm hopeful that we'll see Gummigoo return at some point. Then we could have another episode focusing on him, just like how episode 2's focus was on him. That could give Pommy some closure as well, because at the end of episode 2, we could see that Pommy was in disbelief, but her thoughts got distracted by Cow's funeral right after. So we don't really know how Pommy took Gummigoo's death, and maybe this is something we could also see in episode 3. Or maybe this photo that Glitch posted, which shows us Kaufmo's box with his picture on top and Gummigoo as well, could suggest that this was P&A's closure. Maybe Gummigoo won't be mentioned in episode 3 other than some very, very slight mentions, maybe not even by name. Based on the trailer for the season, we can guess that the next location could be the Haunted Mansion, or what seems to be a haunted mansion. This could have Martha Millen Hall and the smaller ghost, and maybe even the tape recorder as NPCs for the adventure. I'm assuming that maybe this dark location which we saw Kinger in could also be in episode 3. So maybe this is the scene where Kinger is going to try to solve the adventure on his own, because I can imagine him getting distracted by something and end up losing the others. And then maybe Zubble goes on a different route as well. That'll result in Kinger trying to bash open a door with a shotgun, which looks interesting. However, we do know from Gooseworks that we're going to see less of Jax in the next episode. While his character is interesting, and I'm sure that all of us want to see where his character is going, we'll probably have to wait until episode 6, which is going to be his episode, to find out some really heavy-hitting details about who he is and what he's going to do. As for episode 3, we can guess that it will also focus on deeper topics. It's going to be especially interesting to see it through the other characters' eyes. Episode 1 was mainly focusing on Pally and how she dealt with being stuck in the circus in her first day. This was obviously a very present topic in episode 2 as well, through both Pommy and then Gummigoo. I think episode 3 is probably going to show Pommy as well, obviously because she's the main character, where we'll see a bit of her progress. But now we'll be able to see how Kinger and Zubble deal with the circus, just like how Gummigoo was the focus in episode 2. With Kinger being in there the longest out of the current circus members, he's probably used to his environment and the daily routine, and with the adventures more than everyone else. It seems like everyone's used to it, but Kinger just does not care. I'm hoping that we'll get to find out what really happened to him during his time in the circus. In episode 2, he had a moment where he remembered the Rag of A's first days in the circus. So, if he'll have some other good moments where he'll be able to remember the past, then maybe he could share even more information about the already abstracted characters, or even his first days in the circus. As we know, Zubble was the most recent one to spawn in before Pommy. It could be very contrasting to see how they both deal with being stuck in the circus, with Zubble being fairly new and Kinger being the oldest. For now, we're probably going to have to wait a bit more to get more content on either Glitch or Gooseworks' Twitters, Tumblrs, YouTubes, or wherever. I'm hoping that maybe we'll get a trailer in the next month, and then we could find out more about what's going to happen in the next episode. Hopefully there won't be a long delay, even if they do release Murder Drones Episode 8. I still think that they're going to release Episode 3 fairly quickly, because that's what they did with Episode 7 of Murder Drones and Episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus. Let me know your thoughts. When is Episode 3 going to release? Thanks for watching. Subscribe and click on this video here.